friends, good afternoon. Come and sit down with me and don't leave too soon. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Together we can make a difference if we try. Hello there, my lovely friends. Good afternoon. Come and sit down with me and don't leave too soon. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in again. And this is a really, really special and important episode. And thank you for joining us on the channel. I have a couple of special guests that are going to join me in a minute. If you remember, back when I was covering Lori Vallow Daybell and I drove back from Phoenix to Indiana, I went through a little town called Hooker, Oklahoma, and for some reason I felt drawn to do some Google research, and I found out that there was a beautiful young lady who was taken from this earth way too soon, and the investigation is still ongoing. So her mother is going to join us this afternoon to talk about London and to talk about the investigation and to talk about quite a few things, hopefully in that area. So, Brittany, welcome on board. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having me.
First of all, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah, it's been heartbreaking.
I can't imagine what you've been going through for the last, what is it, August? It's the last day of August, and she went missing on June 7th, so it's been months.
Yeah. She actually went missing on June, she left on June 5th, but the day that she passed away was June 7th, and she was found on June 12th.
Wow.
Yeah. For 2 days, she was alive, but on the 7th is when she unfortunately passed away that Saturday.
And then she wasn't found for 5 days after that.
Correct. She wasn't found until June 12th.
The morning
of, yeah, around 9 a.m., I believe. That's what the record said.
So
this is my sister, Rochelle Goodall, or Conway, by the way. She helps me out whenever, if I get emotional or, so she's
yeah,
here.
Of course. Hi, Rochelle. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for being there for Brittany. This is tough. That's tough. So I'm gonna. So the medical examiner's report. So the first thing that I did as an investigative reporter was just to FOIA all of the agencies that are involved. Right. The FOIA is Freedom of Information Act, and I was just like, I want all of your stuff, and I got nothing. I got nothing from any of the police departments.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Sounds all right.
I think from Beaver County, I think I got one letter that said it's an active investigation, so we can't share anything with you. From the Oklahoma State Medical Examiner's Office, I did get a response from them that said it's going to take us up to 90 days to complete this. So you're on the list type of thing.
Mhm.
But take us back to the beginning of this, like when you first knew that she was missing and when police departments were first called and what kind of things went on like back in the beginning of June.
So on it was a Thursday, it was June 5th. London had left the house without around 11 without permission, and Jose had picked her up. And they left, and so my mom, obviously, we were trying to get in touch with her and tell her she needed to come home, and she wasn't allowed to leave. And so, but she left, and then, she was texting us and saying, hey, I'm going to come home. Like, I'll be there tonight. I'll be here later.
After the storm.
Yeah, after the storm. There is all these reasons, but she was keeping in like contact, and we were telling her, we're about to call the police, and she's like, no, don't call the police. I'm on my way home. Well, that Friday, I brought it up. I was like, okay, if she doesn't come home by tonight, like we're calling the police in the morning. And so my oldest daughter had gotten a message around 9. And so she had been contacting them, but we had already went ahead and called the police because at this point she'd been gone for 2 days, and it was clear, regardless of whether she said she was going to come home or not, she hadn't come home and she wasn't being brought home. And so then we all just kind of quit hearing from her, like completely. And this was already like abnormal for London because London may get in trouble sometimes, but she's never been afraid of just coming home and getting whatever happened, like whether she got grounded or talking to the police, anything. It's never been, I'm too scared to come home or anything like that. And so we thought it was really odd behavior that by this point she hadn't came home, and then that she wasn't replying to, out of everybody, her sister. And that's really where it raised a lot of concerns, is because usually if anyone can get her to talk, it would be her older sister, Paris. And so my mom, we all agreed, like, you need to call the Hooker Police Department. And so my mom called the Hooker Police Department and let them know what was going on, and had let them know at this point that she had left with Jose and things like that and hadn't come back. So the next day, so they'd already reported it and everything like that. The next day is whenever I think we reported her officially as a runaway, because we had talked to Scott later that evening. And
can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
So one thing that's important is that when Brittany's mom contacted Hooker Police, hours went by and nobody responded to any of us. And so Liz then contacted Texas County Sheriff, who then called Scott Hedrick, the police chief of Hooker, and then he came. This is like 8 hours later.
Yeah. Everything's been kind of like
8 hours plus 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and that was on the Friday after she went missing. Like, it was initially reported that morning, and then Scott didn't show up till that evening after Texas County had to get on him.
And yeah, and so according to my mom, like on Monday, Jose and Braden showed up to my mom's house. Like he and Jose was banging on the door looking for London, and my stepdad was there, and he was like, London owes me money for wrecking my dad's SUV. She has my red hoodie, those kind of things. And Braden's sitting in the car, apparently. And so Jose is insisting on finding London, thinks London's hiding in the house. Well, my mom Are we still there? Can you still see us?
You're still here. Yes, you're still here.
Okay.
Okay, everything
Screen
just like
disappeared.
disappeared off of my screen.
So, but they didn't know that my mom had called the police. And so the police show up, and it kind of really threw them off guard. And it was Scott Hedrick and Robbie Wayman. And so they stood outside and they took a report with my mom, my stepdad, and Jose and Braden. And
So all 6 people are there. So Jose and Braden and 2 police officers and your mom and stepdad.
yeah, so the chief of police, Scott Hedrick, and Robbie Wayman. And so I think my mom's in the chat. So mom, if something's if I'm off, like go ahead and add it in there. But so she they're telling these lies straight away. They're questioning about, you guys were the last ones to know, or Jose, you picked up London, you were the last one seen with her. Like, what happened? What did you guys do? Well, they said they dropped her off somewhere. The last person that they seen her with was a Mexican guy at the pool in Liberal. So Jose tells the police that it's a white guy, and Braden tells the police it's a Mexican guy, and they're saying that she was last seen in Liberal and all these other things. And so if you look back, the first runaway posters say that stuff. They say she was last seen in Liberal, Kansas. That's where we got that information from, because right away they didn't tell the truth. And so we're running around looking for London and Liberal and trying to find out who last seen her with this Mexican guy at the pool. And
mind you, if it was an overstate situation, that was a whole different Bureau of Investigation that would have been involved. So it was a really big deal at that point that they said she had crossed state lines.
Right,
Yeah.
because that's liberal. That's liberal
Yeah.
Kansas, right?
Kansas,
So it's not in
exactly.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
yeah. And so on Monday, I believe, is also after, was it Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday, my mom had got in touch with Sheriff Deputy Jason Johnston, and she had called him and told him, hey, my granddaughter was last seen with Jose Menjeras and Braden Brown and they're from Beaver and this and that. And so Jason Johnson says, oh, hey, yeah, I picked up Braden down the dirt road that night around 9 p.m.
After the car was abandoned.
After he told, he's like, yeah, he mentioned that he had high-centered his SUV, and he was extremely inebriated and didn't make sense. And so
he's a police officer that picked up Braden?
Yeah, he's a sheriff.
Beaver County Sheriff Deputy.
What?
And so yeah, he's like, I took him home that night. And we're like, okay.
He's inebriated and he was driving and he gets a ride.
And he admitted to this officer that he had high-centered the car and
had no license
on him. He was out of his mind, intoxicated. And this is all coming from the Jason Johnston himself to Liz, like over the phone. He's telling her this, like, and it was at that point that we knew we weren't looking for London alive.
Yep.
Yeah, the truck, when I found out that the truck that she had been with them and she hadn't been home and hadn't contacted us, and then they had found that truck and Braden walking down the road, I knew instantly that, I'm shaking right now. Like, I knew instantly, like, my mom heart knew something was wrong. Like, I at first maybe she could have, ran away, but I'm her, like, we know her more than anybody, and we know it was not normal for her not to contact us regardless of if she was in trouble or not. And so immediately after that, I called her. Yeah, like, it was, I think what made it worse is like them not taking us serious. And they literally mocked me. Scott Hedrick mocked me for being negative. And I'm a counselor, and I'm getting my master's to become a therapist. And so he mocked me for that and said, you should know better than to be negative. And you're a counselor. You're going to school for this. Like, he basically he said, you should know better. And then he would say stuff like, you need to calm down. You're acting like she's dead already. And so it was just, he pointed out my mom and was like, she's part of the problem. He just got.
Wait. Repeat what he said about her being dead already.
He told me, you need to calm down. You're acting like she's dead or something already.
Well, maybe.
And this was the night before she was found.
Yeah, that was the night before her body was found. So she had been dead for 4 days at that point.
Mm-hmm. And I told him, before I'm a counselor or before I'm any of that, I'm a mother. And I'm telling you right now, like, something's wrong with my daughter. I told him then, I said, I don't feel like we're looking for London right now. I feel like we're looking for London's body. And the longer that you don't take this serious, the longer she's going to lay out there. I knew it. Like, I knew in my heart, like, that something was wrong. And they were not. They were acting like we were just completely overreacting. It was extremely difficult to deal with when you're scared for your child and you have the law enforcement telling you that you're overreacting. And so, so on that Tuesday, when I found out, my mom called me and said, Brittany, I just heard, I heard from the sheriff deputy in Beaver, and he said that he found this SUV, and, instantly I knew. I said, give me Jose's number. So I tried to call Jose, and, he didn't answer, and I sent him a text message, and I said, Jose, this is London's mom. I need you to call me back. And immediately he called me back, and he's like, he's already upset because what had really, like, I called him, and I told him, he's like, London's going to show up. You guys are going to feel stupid for putting that stuff out there. Just wait. London's coming back, and you guys are going to look stupid, like all this stuff. And this is that Tuesday. And this was around
how does he know all of that if he says she was last seen by the pool with the Mexican guy? Mm-hmm. Like, how does he know that she's coming home?
Because he knew that wasn't true.
Yeah.
They lied about it, and they knew they lied. And Jose admits that they lied because he said he lied because he thought she would be coming back. And so, so I talked to Jose for a little bit, and he swears up and down that she's going to come back. And he hangs up on me, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. But the whole time, like, we got like scare calls, like, oh, we seen her in Woodward at the hotel and stuff like that. And, that was really heartbreaking because every single time I was just really, 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 really praying in my heart that it was her. Like, even though I knew, like, I was like, please be wrong. Like, and, and the next morning around 7 a.m., Jose calls me right at around 7 a.m. exactly. Jose calls me, and he's like, I want to talk to the police. And I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm going to the police. I don't care. He's like, I think something happened to London. And he's like, I'm not sure what, but something's just not adding up. Like, and then he tells me, London was with Braden, and tells me, his version of things. Thankfully, I got this on recording. So, but he tells me that they went to Hardesty. He picked up London. They went to Hardesty, and they hung out with some people that they know there. They went to Optimal Lake to fish, and then they came back, and London had mentioned that this supposedly Jose said that Braden was on his Snapchat story, and London said, I think he's cute. Like, and so he was like, hey, do you want to go pick up my friend Braden? And London said yes. So they headed to Beaver. And so they get to Beaver. Apparently, like, they're hanging out, partying, all this stuff. Like, first they say that, they stayed the night at Braden's dad's. And then Friday night, they stayed the night at Braden's mom's in Woodward. And so, and that Saturday morning, they, according to Jose, like, they left at around 9 a.m. and they went to Guyman. And they, at this very first story, like, I'm still thinking they have this red SUV. And so he says they go to Guyman, and that they meet at this hotel. and he meets some friends outside, and that he gets out and he gets in with friends, and that Braden gets in and drives, and that he's supposed to take London home and drop his dad's vehicle off. And then he says that was it. And then that the next thing he knows is that Braden's calling him around 6:30, tripping out about saying that cops are chasing him, that there's agents surrounding him, he's going to go to jail. And Jose tells him, I told him, get out and lock the doors. And I said, why did you tell him to get out and lock the doors? I said, because if there's police there, they can't get in. I said, are you trying to hide something? No. I didn't know what was going on. And he was tripping out, and
he was on a sick one.
He said, he's on a sick one. I said, what does that mean? He was high. He was messed up. And because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know what that meant, but that's what he said. And so I'm like sitting here and I'm like, this is like wild, like, because he's sitting there saying that like the police, and that's why that the thing, but he had several different stories. Even as he's telling me this, he's saying first that Braden said something about being on his grandpa's land, and which I found out later, he does, his dad's dad has land out there. And so but he just said he was making
outside of Beaver,
Oregon. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because the Beaver is where Jose's from, and Oregon is where Braden's dad lives at. I might have.
And is that where London was eventually found? Oregon,
outside of Oregon.
Outside of Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 miles outside of Oregon. And so, so basically, like, I'm trying to think, where was I at? Sorry, I got sidetracked.
We're on the morning where they're spinning so many stories they can't even keep track of their own lives.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh yeah, the phone call, and he's saying that he called him on Snapchat, and then there's, just to fast forward a little bit, we have multiple evidence of Braden contacting people saying the police were chasing him, including, telling his mom, hey mom, if you don't see me again, it's because the police got me. I love you. And this is all around 6:30
on Saturday.
On Saturday.
The 12th.
But don't forget that Johnston didn't pick him up until around 9 p.m.
on Saturday. So there's 2.5 hours of missing time that Braden doesn't recall, apparently. And so that just doesn't make sense. And there's a lot of,
but he's afraid whatever that time period is he's going to get in trouble with the law.
Yeah. But there's also police records that show that the people that lived out there on one of the farms nearby are the ones that called the police to report Braden. And that, now help me make this make sense, because Braden is tripping, telling everybody the police are chasing him. But when he's questioned by one of the citizens out there, what is he doing? He said he was hired by Jason Johnston to pick up trash out there. And he's how in the world does that make sense? That's my exact response.
It says we have the call records, and it says in there that it says on there specifically requests or mentions Jason Johnston.
Yeah.
Don't forget, he's running from the police and terrified for his life, but he's
telling people that Jason Johnston hired him.
There's a certain deputy that I want to look at a little bit closer, but we'll get to that another time.
Yeah,
that's just
there's a lot of common denominators with Jason Johnston and Braden and Jose. You can even go back and look at Jose's record from like 2023, and guess who the arresting officer on his case was? Bingo, Jason Johnston.
Way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Also,
Braden's dad is a fireman, or was a fireman for the same county, and good old buddies with guess who? Jason Johnston.
And Hooker chief of police used to be the Beaver County sheriff.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot
it's
of
all connected out there. All 3 counties are just so connected out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, and so
so you were at the phone call and him telling lie after lie after lie.
yes, just so many different things. Like, and he said, so Jose told me that Braden had said London went to the that the police got London and took her to the mental hospital. Like, and he was like, you know, he was just freaking out. And then he said that he went to the casino and stuff. Like, he had I'm still confused on which story. He's had multiple places he said he went after separating from London and Braden. So I can't even tell you which one's accurate right now, because there's been several. One, he was doing his laundry at his mom's. The next, he was at a casino. The next, he was in Hugon in Kansas doing. I can't even, you know. And so that's still like iffy. Like I have no idea.
Okay, so these. Okay, keep going with the story. I've got questions for later, but yeah.
If you have any, you can. I can. There's so much stuff that I can jump around. So sometimes you have to like
gotta reel her back in sometimes.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about the way I feel about this, and so like I can get well really intense and have a lot of passion. Yeah,
I have a. So I don't have a huge community, but I do have a solid base of very caring people who are with you 100% on you being passionate about this, and we're not going to let that.
We're not going to let
the
need
story
at this
die.
point. Like, we definitely need community support, even like nationwide community support, because what we don't have a lot of is legal support. Like, we haven't felt like that since the beginning.
The system is skewed. The system is skewed.
It's very skewed.
Not in your favor. I'll just say that.
No.
Yeah, because ever since this has started, I feel like London was treated as a bad kid, a runaway, you know, and
minority or whatever. Like, the system wants to look at it. I mean, at one point, one of the officers that had dealt with London in the past from Hooker was like, I just can't wait till this kid turns 18. The day before she was found.
Yeah.
That's a police officer said that?
Yeah. He said, God, I can't wait till this kid turns 18. Like, I mean, the fact that let's just say this, you know, the fact that they maybe were a little irritated by us shows that as a family, we were trying to actively be parent, you know, do what was right and try to keep London from misbehaving and redirect it and things. Like, I've seen a lot of people be like, why were they just letting her run around? And, you know, if anything, maybe that shows that we didn't just let her around, and we contacted law enforcement enough that maybe they were a little irritated by us. But you know what? We don't want to just let her run around.
No, and that does not relieve them of their duty to do their job.
Not at all.
As somebody who works with the people, you know, I made a commitment to work with people and to help people. And I feel like, you know, law enforcement made a commitment to help people and to serve and protect. And if someone were to come to me and tell me, hey, I feel like I'm going to commit suicide, and I was just like, I believe you. They say that all the time, and then they went and killed themselves, I could be held legally responsible because that was my duty. And I feel the same way as a law enforcement. When you sign up and you decide that's the career path you want to take, and you take that oath to serve and protect all members of the community, that included my 16-year-old daughter that maybe, you know, got on your nerves a little bit, but she was human, and that was your job. And if I could have done it, I would have done it for him, because I sure was trying. Like, but unfortunately, I can't do that. You know, I'm not the law enforcement. And so it's been pretty frustrating. But so Sunday, back to the story, Sunday, Jose says that that's when they pulled the truck out. So there's a lot of controversy on who pulled the SUV out, because that's changed multiple times too.
Yeah, because mind you, the Jason Johnston was out there at the area where he picked Braden up on Saturday night, never returned to the scene to even investigate this truck that was wrecked to see if anything was out there, never went back at all to even see why is this intoxicated kid telling me he was driving, never once went back and looked. And the truck stayed there high centered in the mud until the next day, supposedly, which we still don't have a straight. All we have is, you know, Jose saying when they pulled it out. and who the multiple different stories of who might have pulled it out, but definitely not law enforcement.
Yeah, apparently there was a tow truck that had been canceled. Had been called in and somebody canceled it. I'm still not sure who did that.
What? Oh, no way.
If it
No
was,
way.
the family or if it was the police.
'Cause
Sorry,
that's- You're fine. That's standard operating procedure for a law enforcement agency is to call what they call the hook of the day. That's the tow agency that's on dispatch for the day. They call it and they come and they pick it up and they tow it to the impound yard.
It was canceled, and apparently, so what is saying is the main one that's been there consistently is Braden's brother.
Yeah, in the story of who towed it out.
Who towed it out. Braden's there, and I've heard Jose's brother, Martin.
And from a completely different source, possibly possibly Braden's mom and boyfriend.
Yeah. So
There's been a lot of stories of who possibly went and removed this truck. Mind you, London was found 3/4 of a mile from where the truck was at.
I was just getting ready to ask you that. Like, how close is that to where she was found, and weren't her shoes not on her at the time she was found?
So that is really touchy. I'll get back to that. I will get back to that. Because no, they were not on her. And okay, so Sunday he said there's this thing. He says that they pulled the truck out, and that's that, and they took it back. Well, here's the thing: is first he said that when they got there, all the doors were open and somebody had cleaned it out, which I thought was weird that he made sure to add those details, like that somebody had cleaned it out. But here's the other weird part:
not only we're not talking about a metropolitan city. We're talking about a town of 300 people, maybe, and we're talking about 90-year-old farmers that live in the surrounding area. Like, there's no who pulled up and cleaned this truck out and robbed the truck. Nobody.
Yeah.
The cow.
That is exactly what drew my attention to this case, because when I drove up US 54 from Arizona to Indiana, this is rural Oklahoma. These are small towns
as it gets, as
grain elevators.
As rural as it gets. There's not another part of Oklahoma that is more rural than Panhandle.
Yeah, it reminded me so much of Indiana. Like
3 hours before 3 hours. Like,
yeah.
Also, there's no. I mean, this might come as a surprise, but there's no records of a high-speed chase. And according, I mean, we checked.
And I mean, like I said to the OSBI agent Beck, like, what police were chasing? They got 2 cops in the whole county. Like, who was chasing them? There's no police out there either. We're talking about a town that's literally, you blink and you miss it. They don't have anything out there. There's no cops. Like, they got the sheriff and the undersheriff. That's what you get out there. So who's high speed chasing anybody?
Yeah, it was definitely, I think, a drug induced, allegedly, in my humble opinion. It was. I think it was a drug-induced
psychosis,
hallucination. Yeah, in my humble opinion, like I am learning to, the words, and so
allegedly is a good word to use.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. We stick to those words a lot.
Yeah, and so the Jose, so we're on the phone, right? And he's telling me all this stuff, and he's like, I don't care. I'm gonna go talk to the police. Like, Jose and Braden have been in trouble together before. They have a background together. Jose actually just got out of prison because they shot up. Was it shooting or rob?
I was told it was shooting, but as you look at the record, it is closed, so you can't really view the details. Even the OSBI agent couldn't view the details of it.
So it's either robbed or
so is it juvenile? It's a juvenile record. Is that what it is?
Not Jose's. Jose went to prison because he was the adult out of the 2, and Braden just got probation out of it.
He was a minor
because he was a minor.
So Jose's prison record is.
Yeah, that's what OSBI told us.
Yeah, I don't know. No. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things that have been.
Yeah, and that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
But so, yeah, they got in trouble. And I know Jose kept saying, I'm not going to get in trouble for him again. I'm not going to do this again. I've already done this. I just got out. So I think he's like really freaking out about getting in trouble. And he says, I called this morning because I went over there last night and I told him, I'm really worried about London. Like you guys keep saying she's going to show up, but she hasn't showed up. And he says that he said he wanted to go to the police and that Braden and Braden's mom said no. And so that he left. And that's why he called me that morning. And he said, I want to go to the police myself. And so he was ready to go down there. So he calls Beaver County Police, and they tell him that he has to call Scott Hedrick himself.
Because Scott Hedrick hadn't released jurisdiction to anybody else. Is their words to him. It was their words to me when I called about it. Like that Scott Hedrick was holding on to this for dear life and he would not release jurisdiction to anybody.
To Woodward.
So remind us again who Scott is.
He's the chief of police out of Hooker.
Which is where London was living and where Liz reported the missing person, right?
Yes.
The runaway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he calls me back and he says, hey, I'm about to drive down to Hooker. They said I need to tell Scott Hedrick. And I was like, can you wait for my mom or anything? He's like, no, I'm going right now. Oh, his mom had got on the phone too, but I'm not really sure what she said because it was in Spanish. But he's telling his mom, like, no, I'm going to go to the police. So he's adamant about going to the police. I'll give him that much. But I tell him, I'm like, hey, if you wait, like, I will meet you down there. And I'm in Ponca City. It's going to take me like 5 hours, but I will go down there with you because he tries to call Scott Hedrick and Scott Hedrick sends him a voicemail. And so we try to call Scott Hedrick I asked my mom, I said, what's Scott Hedrick's number? Jose's trying to get a hold of him. And I was like, I was wondering if you could call him and just put, I merge our calls. So we call and he answers and we're like, hey, Scott, we have Jose on the phone. Like he wants to tell you something. And Scott says, oh no, we're not doing this. We are not doing a merging call. Like he can hang up and he has to call me back. We're like, okay, so, okay, maybe it's, police protocol, whatever. So we hang up. Jose tries to call him. He sends him a voicemail.
He would not. He refused to answer his call. So it wasn't until Brittany got all the way down there that they called Scott again and they said, hey, we've got Braden here. He's here in Hooker and wants to talk to you. And he has information for you. And you need to come and see him. Like,
yeah, he got to Hooker and he tried to call Scott and Scott didn't answer. And so my mom had to send Scott a message and we're like, hey, we literally have one of the boys here that wants to come talk to you. And he said he was going to send Bubba G, which is one of the police officers down there, because he said he was doing something else. I can't remember what it was, but then he shows up like 5 minutes later.
Oh, he said he was doing something else. He was supposed to be in Woodward interviewing Braden that day because once again, he wouldn't allow anybody else to do that. But guess who didn't go to Woodward to interview Braden that day? And guess who showed up 5 minutes later at the Hooker Police Department to interview Jose?
And it was not just going to be him. He said it was going to be him in Beaver County because that's where
Braden lives.
That's where London was found, was the county.
Or they hadn't found her yet.
Oh, no, they hadn't found her yet. That's where Braden was from. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we get down there and, I show Jose where the police department is and, we're going to walk in and Scott's like, no, you guys can't come in. And Jose and his mom go in there. I think people forget that Jose and Braden are adults. So I'm really like, it kind of was concerning, like that Jose's mommy went in there with him, like, and because he's,
but the police officer, Scott said you can't go in.
Yeah. He said, I can't go in. Did you hear that right? Yeah.
He said you can't go in.
Yeah.
And into a public agency, you can't go in, or you can't go into the interview room.
It was after hours. So, I think that's, okay, whatever, but, at the time, like, this is the night before London was found. So that's when I was like trying to tell him, I'm like, okay, well, he has, I wanted to try to help him. He was trying to talk to me. I wanted to tell you the things he was telling me and this and that, but he wouldn't let us talk to him. And he's telling, this is the night he's like, you need to you're being negative. I can't believe you're a counselor and you're acting like this. And I was like, I can't believe you're talking to somebody who just lost their child like this. Like, I'm not supposed to be upset. And that's when he's like, well, you need to calm down. You're acting like she's dead or something already. And I was like, I'm telling you she is, like, from my heart. Like, I'm telling you, like, she is. And so, and he was mean to my mom. He pointed out my mom and told her she was part of the biggest problem. Like, it was pretty upsetting, like, when your child's missing, to have the police yelling at you like that and treating you like you're
the criminal.
Yeah, like
Right.
you're overreacting. Like, because I know in his mind, he just thought London was a runaway.
Right.
And that was his opinion, that was his bias, and that's what he was going to stick by because, you know, and he wasn't going to hear anything else. So he told me he would come talk to me after that, but he was there until like 10:30, 11 o'clock. I told him I'd meet him at 8 o'clock. And so I took him, I went and met him at 8 o'clock. And
The next morning.
the next morning, yeah, Thursday morning, the day that she was found. I met him at 8 o'clock, and I took the recording that I had of Jose, and I was like, I need you guys to listen, like there's something wrong. But I think at this point, after talking to Jose, he probably realized maybe there is something wrong because his whole attitude towards me had changed. But he did tell me in that, while we were meeting, that he had seen a video, that they'd sent a video of them washing his dad's truck so that they could show his dad the damage when he got back from Mexico. So they washed and cleaned this whole entire truck. And
decided to take a video of doing it and send it to Scott Hedrick, of all people.
And Scott acted like it wasn't weird.
They acted like that's not incriminating evidence or like tampering with evidence at all. That's the vehicle London was last seen in. Like, why is that okay that he sent you a video of him cleaning this truck? And who in their right mind says, let me take a video of washing this truck and send it to the police chief?
Or they said they sent it to, they said they took a video, or he said that they said they took a video to show that they could show their dad the damage, and they wanted it to be clean. But it's been cleaned out at this point. And then later that day, like, OSBI comes around. What time was it?
I have the record.
I always feel like
what is later that day? Is that before or after London has been found?
Well, we don't know that London has been found at this point yet. So in our minds, it's before, but it was actually after.
Okay.
In my mind, it was a lot earlier, but I think it was around 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
That the OSBI showed up, and, you know, they asked us. It was kind of weird because they first were like, we're not here to bring any bad news. So it was I was like, oh, you know, but it was terrible news. And so, like, I talked to him. He asked me to explain London's life, you know, a little bit, and if I knew what she was wearing and things like that. And so I told him a little bit about what's going on. And he asked me about her tattoos, and I was showing him her tattoos, and I got to this 444 tattoo on her arm, and that's when he told me. He was like, well, you know, it's don't let it get to your head, but he's like, we have found a body, and the tattoo that you're describing sounds like hers. And so they wouldn't let me see her. They let me know pretty immediately that it had been 5 days and that she was pretty decomposed. So they you know, I showed him a picture of her tattoo, and he confirmed, you know, that's the one. That they took a DNA swab. Because I asked, I was like, do I need to, like, identify her or look for her or anything? Like, you know, and he was like, you know, we're probably not going to do that because of the, you know, she's just not, for one, you know, she's decomped, and two, you know, it's going to be really bad for you. Like, there's other ways. Oh, it was 4/24
on June 12th, Thursday, June 12th.
Yeah, because I had messaged her right away. And so, like, that was really, my mom was there and my stepdad was there. Like, that was really, really hurt, you know, traumatizing. And then, so we go back to, I was staying at a hotel at the time because she was here and I was staying with her. And so we go back, and by the next day, Beaver County Sheriff Mitchell has made a press release that there's no danger or anything, like, in around the area. And we're like, because I guess people, and I was like, I didn't know that was coming. And it said OSBI participated in this press statement
Yet just a few hours before that, we were on the phone with OSBI, who wouldn't even let us tell the rest of our family. She wasn't even allowed to tell her oldest daughter that London had been found yet. And then boom, this press release hits Facebook.
So
Yeah.
OSBI ordered you, like, put a gag order on you not to talk
Wow,
about it.
lips sealed.
Told us not to say anything yet.
Because
How do they have the legal authority to? How do they have the legal authority to do that?
I don't
tell
know
you
that
you
they
can't.
had the legal authority. I think they just knew the right words to use that would scare us into being quiet.
Yeah, like we didn't know. We don't know what's going on. If OSBI tells us to, that,
Right,
then we're
right.
like, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
They were
get it,
using
yeah.
terms like if the boys know that she's been found, they might run. All these things. We need to. We're
makes
trying
sense.
to build a case, and
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Now we're 2.5 months down the road now. So
yeah,
I think that doesn't apply anymore, right?
No. And so, like, there's just so much. I mean, like, oh man, I don't even know where to go from here. Just to be honest, like, that's just how it all started. That's to the point where she was found. Like, I think it really, like, it didn't even hit us for a second that Johnston, we were like, wait, like, he picked him up and then took him home. Like, all that, like, just started clicking, and we're like, something's just not right here.
well, recently, going back to what you just said about Johnston, recently it's came to our attention, one, by Detective Beck, and two, by Braden himself, that the day that Johnston picked him up out there, that Saturday at 9 p.m., Braden told him, hey, I high-centered my truck back there and my friend's back there. We need to go find them. Them, her, him, we don't know, but my friend's back there and we need to go. And Johnston supposedly said no. And according to Beck, his reasoning behind that was, well, Braden was so intoxicated and out of his mind, tripping, that Johnston didn't know what story was true or false. And my exact thing I said to Detective Beck in that moment is, it shouldn't have mattered what he had said. I don't care if he said there was a flying carpet back there. The minute he said a person was back there, it should have changed everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Braden, Braden is insisting that he told Jason Johnston this and this, and it's possible. Like, I'm not going to say it's not. I'm going to.
I think that according to Beck, that Johnson admitted that Braden told him that, and that's where he said, I didn't go back and look because all his stories were wild and crazy, and he was high. But in my mind, even I'm not a trained law enforcement by any means, but I'm just a regular old person here, right? And my mind says this kid is under the influence of something. He just admitted to wrecking a car, and now he's saying there's a person back there. Could this person be injured because of a car wreck?
And no license.
He has no license. Like, I mean, of the very minimum, I would think I would want to go back and look to make sure the person he's claiming is back there isn't injured because of a car wreck.
So there's a possibility that Braden did say, my friend is back there.
Wow. And it didn't get investigated by this.
No,
officer.
Not for 5 days. And knowing that they knew exactly where the vehicle was high centered at, and the fact that there's only one road right there, one straight road from where the vehicle was high centered, and it tees off, and right there at the T point is where she was at. Like,
it's not hidden.
It was not hidden at all. Like, had anybody went back and looked at the area where they were high centered, we found it 5 days later based on the tracks in the mud, and you could see where the truck had been pulled out. Like, and it's just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. No. It makes zero sense at all. Like,
you can't make it make sense.
My mom had added a video, like, and even the grass is taller. Like, when Mitchell agreed to show us where it was at, like 2 days later. I don't know. Other people seem to have known where it was at. Like, I don't know why it seemed like a big top secret. So we go out there and we meet him, and he was extremely rude to me right away. And we asked a question, and it was,
by the way, Mitchell is the sheriff of Beaver County. He's the head sheriff of Beaver County.
Yeah.
His name's Scott Mitchell.
Yeah. And Jason Johnson is the sheriff deputy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the prosecutor, like there's one prosecutor shared between like 3 counties out there, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the
like,
DA,
so,
Texas County DA covers like 3 counties out there.
Yeah.
right. Okay. So let's talk about the transition of OSBI coming in. When did you know that OSBI was going to be investigating? Like who handed it off and when? And
I knew
why?
first before anybody else because I'm kind of like the bull and I push my way through a lot of stuff in life. So
That's why I like have her here.
So the morning of the 12th, okay, on the night of the 11th, we were all talking, but it was after business hours. And I already knew I had a game plan of who I was calling. The very early morning of the 12th, I got on the phone. First person I called was Woodward Police, or Woodward County Sheriff. They're the ones that told me they couldn't talk to me about anything and that I needed to call Beaver County. So I get off the phone with them. I call Beaver County. He says, I'm so sorry for what's going on, but I don't have any jurisdiction over this. Scott Hedrick won't give us any jurisdiction. The only thing I'm allowed to do has to do with the boy that lives in my county, but not the missing persons aspect of it. So I get off the phone and I call Scott Hedrick. I leave him a voicemail. I wait for, I think, an hour, and he did not return my call because I was trying to give him a chance. He did not return my call. So I called Texas County DA. And I told them that based on how much conflict of interest was involved in this at the point, we didn't know London was dead at this point, 100%. We didn't know her body was going to be found that day or anything. But I said, based on the amount of conflict of interest and the way Scott was not taking this serious, that I think that my personal opinion was that OSBI needed to be brought in. Actually, rewind just one step before me calling DA. I called Texas County Sheriff first after I called Scott Hedrick, and I spoke to him. His name is Matt Boley. And everybody told me Matt Boley's real scary. Well, Rochelle Conway is real scary too. And so I got on the phone with Matt, and he was like, no, I think Scott's doing everything he needs to do. And I'm real familiar with this case. And I said, why hasn't an Amber Alert been put out? He said, we don't have enough information. There's no suspects' names and there's no card to be listed. I said, oh, yes, there is. I said,
What?
so you're telling me you don't know who Braden Brown is and Jose Mangeras are? And that the red SUV was found high-centered on this dirt road outside of Forgan? He said, what are you talking about? I said, you are so closely invested in this case with Scott Hedrick, but you don't know any of the details. I said, that's okay. He said, I'm just not ready to rip it out from under Scott yet. I said, that's okay. I will. I'm calling the DA. And I did. And I got on the phone with the DA and I called him, and he listened to me for about probably less than a minute, telling him that I think OSBI need to be involved. He said, I already have my email written up. He said, but I'm pushing send right now. And as of this point, OSBI is involved.
I like the way you roll. I really like the way you roll, Rochelle. Like,
That's why I need her.
yeah, exactly. That's awesome. It's awesome, but it's not because of where we're at now. And we still have to push.
We knew in our guts. We knew, like,
Yeah.
at this point, we're not grieving. We are like in this strange limbo in our brains of finding answers. Like, it was such a strange phenomenon that was happening amongst all of us, in a sense of, yes, we were so incredibly sad. And even after finding out that she had passed, so incredibly sad, but it was like this strength would come through us because we would get these answers. And it even surprised Detective Beck, like some of the things we had found and gotten him. Like, it was like what was driving us through these days. Like, we were on autopilot at points.
Yeah.
I had a lot of thoughts and voice recordings, and we put in a lot of work on our own. A lot. I'd say a lot. And
I stayed in Liberal, Kansas for 2 weeks in a hotel while we chased ghosts and stories and tried to figure out who was where and what was this and how was that. And that was all before her funeral.
And we started wearing it down to the stories, and so, Brayden's story.
You're actually doing investigators work, like what the police, what law enforcement should be doing. And
yeah, I know they got very intimidated at one point and told us that, you know, and I get it to a degree, but the way he worded it, he said, you can continue to do your investigation and you can try to get a conviction out of your investigation, or you can relax and let me do mine. And he said, but we both can't do it because the DA is only going to take one, and one of us is going to take the credibility away from the other. So we can only do it one at a time.
Nope, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's totally wrong. Like, so I just, before you two ladies were kind enough to join me this afternoon, I had a 1-year anniversary show. Like 1 year ago today was my first ever.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it was on Abby and Libby and the Delphi case. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's also another case of horrible police work, like terrible police work. And I'm just going to say, in London's case, allegedly, because we don't know yet, but it's people like you, Rochelle, and Brittany, Mom, like sticking with it, that are going to bring to light the details that put pressure on whoever's responsible for this. And just like I'm glad you're not allowing the police officers just to dictate what you can and can't do.
Yeah, I mean, and my mom, she's
yes, Liz too.
She's been grandma, like she's got the grandma rage in her right now. You know, she's really into like getting out there and stuff like that. And so we've coped in different ways. She's angry grandma. I'm angry too, but I get sad. And so I like having her out there. You know, she definitely loves her granddaughter and a big part of her life and wants to see her get the justice she deserves too, you know. And so, you know, and not only that, but like grandma and Uncle Tyler and so many people's names have been dragged through the mud by people because everybody is looking for a clickbait at some point. And I think that, you know, it's hard sometimes to get outside of your emotions, but I do think that everybody's done under the circumstances the best they could. Like,
yeah.
And like your show,
go ahead.
You seem very respectful. I said, I think that's why we like your show, is because you've been very respectful and not just like you're hunting for clickbait.
I don't want to be clickbaity at all. Like if I'm ever clickbaity, then please cut off my channel.
No.
I want justice. I want justice for Abby and Libby. I want justice for JJ and Tylee. I want justice for London. And you guys being on here today is like giving me some ideas, like areas that I need to probe, like in my investigative reporting.
There's so much more. I can't even, I mean, like, it could be a series right now. Like, there's so much, like, I have to be really careful because, like I said, I have done a lot of my own stuff that I can't even, like, go into everything towards the end because I don't want to
jeopardize the investigation, right? You get
even if it's our own, like, you know.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
So there's a lot.
So, are you ready to look at the Emmy report?
Yeah.
Are you? Because I don't want to bring it up if you're not ready for it.
I mean, I feel like if it's going to be out there, I'd rather it be in a place where I can vocally talk about it, and then instead of, you know, it getting lost in context on Facebook or, you know, something like that. So.
Okay. It's just the preliminary report. So the Oklahoma State Medical Examiner's Office has actually lost their national certification for medical examiner's offices.
Why does that not surprise me?
And it's because one of the reasons is because they take so long to do their investigations.
Okay.
Yeah, our first time frame we were told was 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I submitted my FOIA request, they said it would be at least 90 days for the full report. And then on Friday, so it's been less than 90 days, but it's just the preliminary report. So it's just a 1-page overall summary of their findings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Here we go. I'm going to find it. Here we go.
Yeah.
Add to stage. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in so people can see it.
Oh, okay.
Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, Board of Medical Legal Investigations, decedent London Valdez, age 16, race white. Is that accurate?
No,
No.
not in total.
And she's a quarter white, and her. Well, I'm white and Hispanic, and her dad's Hispanic and black.
Yeah, so that's not accurate. All right, we found our first discrepancy already. She is female, though.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, home address, Hooker, Oklahoma. Examiner notified by Special Agent Ryan Beck of the OSBI on June 12th. He notified them at 10:18 a.m. County Road, north-south 135 and east-west 9. City of Forgan, County Beaver. Type of premises, fence line.
That's because she was found. So, like I said, there's a T road, and then there's a main road, like a little country windmill road, and then a main road.
But both are dirt roads.
Both are dirt roads. Yeah. Both like one's a bigger dirt road, and one's like one of those little country roads, which is where the SUV was stuck. And then right across from the main road, right across there's a fence where there's like cattle.
It's a farmer's land.
Yeah, farmer's land. She was right there in front.
Because that's pretty much everywhere in that part of Oklahoma is farmland, right? Farmland and fences. Yeah.
But I mean, when I showed up, I said, he showed me, I said, this is it. Like, I thought there would be bushes or trees. Like, I was so shocked.
It was flat right there. It's not a ditch that goes down in the ground or anything like that.
Thank you. How did she not get found for 5 days? That's
exactly. It was the gated. It was literally right next to the gated part where the farmer would have driven in and out of his land.
Yeah. Even the police think it's weird that she wasn't found like for that long.
Yeah. Well,
the simple fact that the police knew all the way since the 7th that the car was abandoned there and wrecked there, but yet she wasn't found till the 12th, like, is red flag number 527.
And allegedly somebody said, my friend is back there.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I wrecked my car.
Yeah. Well, and we forgot to tell you about the house. So when he ran and whatever, the people that called the police were a farmer's land, and they called the police because he said he was out there digging in the ditches. Well, he went up there and asked for food and water, and they even said he was like, couldn't tell up from down or anything like that. But according to Braden, in those 2 hours, he allegedly took drugs and ran from the police, and that in those 2.5 hours, he was so high that he doesn't recall, and saying he was passed out next to a trailer. And I mean, it's just craziness. So I mean, there's a lot of things that we wonder about what really happened versus like her cause of death, which you're about to go over.
Yeah, that's reported in here. Probable cause of death, acute methamphetamine toxicity compounded by hyperthermia. So we know if you OD on meth, it's a lot like Adderall, where it just speeds up your body system and your thermal. You can get hyperthermic pretty quickly if you OD.
Yeah, cardiac arrest is what it caused, and it causing cardiac arrest. And so that's where the paradoxical undressing comes in, where people get so overheated that they will take their clothes off and their shoes. And so that's kind of where another really odd thing comes in, is because on that dirt road this way, London's was a pile of clothes on the side of the road, and then on the opposite side, a little bit backwards, is her shoes,
And then 25 feet over is her where she was found.
She was found.
But those are in two different directions than where she came from. So how did her clothes all end up in one pile, and then her shoes end up completely separated from them, neatly placed, and then her body in a different spot, yet there's no feet print to track, yet it was so muddy that night that they were able to see her feet print all the way from where the truck went to where her body was found. Her shoe prints, not feet print, her shoe prints all the way from where the truck was abandoned to where her body was found 5 days later, because the mud out there is quote unquote like clay, and it casts the clay mold out there.
But then how did her shoes get away from her body if she walked in with her shoes? Yeah.
So we're questioning. Yeah, that's weird. And so London was wearing a pair of size 8 men's Nike Air Force Ones. It's one of the most common teenager shoe, boy or female,
young adult, whatever,
whatever that there is out there. And I don't know, London.
It's a very universal size too. Just saying.
Yeah, London was heavier than him, but I think around the same size. Like what we had to point out too was that they said Braden had said that London allegedly had ran from the car, but her shoe print showed that she walked. And I said, look at her shoe prints. I said, are these shoe prints? I said, does this look like she ran or walked? And he said, well, it looks like she walked. I said, so she didn't run. And I'm telling you right now, if she was that messed up, she wasn't running anywhere.
Yeah. So also take into consideration, this is a person that is overdosing, actively overdosing. Their body is shutting down on at this point, we didn't know what substance, alcohol, whatever, we didn't know, because, there were lots of what ifs at the time, so we're like, so you're telling me that her body is shutting down, that she only makes it 3/4 of a mile before she decides to collapse and die, but yet she walked in a straight line through the mud and never once tripped or fell. There's no handprints, there's no stumbling prints, there's no there's even places where you can see where you could see that the water was probably deeper on the road. It had washed out at one point, and you could see where she went around it. She had cognitive mind to go around it, but yet her body's literally shutting down.
And I know my daughter, so it really did throw us off that it was meth.
100% threw us off. It was meth.
That is not a substance that's known for her to do
ever.
And
that's funny you say that, because your mother told me that also. That is not London.
That's not London. London would drink. London, I thought it would maybe be
alcohol
poisoning or maybe even pills, something. That meth, that threw us all for a zinger, because that's not London, but she's 16 and she's also hanging out with a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old, I don't know what they are providing, and they've kept her out, like I try to say, Jose picked her up and, obviously kept my 16-year-old daughter out for 2 days, knowing that she needed to be home, partying it up all over the place with her, and so him and Braden, and it's not like there was.
That's a good point. Where are Jose and Braden today?
At home.
For real?
Yeah.
They've only been, from what we've been told, the question one time.
Okay, so if you reported London as a runaway, there are special statutes in the Oklahoma State Code that say committing a felony with a runaway, and that would include helping provide them fentanyl or meth or any other illegal substance.
That's the kicker right there, is they quote unquote keep telling us that they have to prove that they provided it to her.
Okay, we have the ME report now. Do we not want to see somebody in jail?
Yeah. So and it's not even just that, the overdose, it says acute on there because the levels were high. It wasn't just a little bit.
Right.
It was
how did she get that much in her system? Did the car, so I'm from the true crime community, so I'm going to speculate here. So this is all allegedly. But
Yes.
did maybe that SUV get high centered and he panicked and she panicked and they have something in the car they shouldn't have, and she's and he's like, "Will you swallow all of this?" Like, could that be one possibility? Maybe
That's my speculation.
100% same speculation, because I can vision it in my brain. Like, you're the minor, you're not going to get in trouble, because he knows that he was the minor the last time and didn't get in trouble, and you can throw it up later. You'll be fine.
If I get in trouble, I'll go to prison. Like, you know, like I said, she's 16 and they're older, you know, if she was extremely intoxicated, which I can almost guarantee you that she was, knowing her, like, who even knows if she even knew like what she was completely doing. Like, and you know, even if she didn't swallow it and she got out, the fact that she was even provided enough to smoke or whatever is not okay.
no.
Like, that has to be a lot that was given to her, you know, provided to her in some way or form, and that's not okay. And like,
the Oklahoma statutes also state that, you know, if a minor ends up deceased over using a drug that an adult provides to them with or without intent, or provides a location for the minor to use the drug with or without intent, that is first-degree murder.
Rochelle, you and I are going to have to meet up again on this case, because I like the way you think.
I'm going to law school too.
So.
I love it.
I'm at Tempe. I'm at Arizona State.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just left Arizona.
I love it.
I attended every day of Lori Valladebell's trials, and it's dry and it's hot in the summertime in Arizona.
Beautiful, but I love it.
That's what I like about it. But yeah, like, a lot of focus has been on, you know, cause of death, and like, you know, and it is difficult to talk about. I think people did want to hear, hey, it's fentanyl, because, you know, that makes it, but, you know, it doesn't really matter what drug it is, it killed her, and they all kill, and it's becoming a pandemic to our children. Epidemic. Yeah. An epidemic. That's all I need her here. An epidemic around here. You know, drugs aren't the same as when we were younger, and they're dangerous now. They're more available. They're being given out in larger doses and adding more chemicals to it. And I just, you know, I want to use this also as a way to bring awareness and show that, you know, there's people out here giving these young girls this, that, you know, and it, or anybody, you know, and
I grew up. So I'm gonna date myself here, but I grew up in the 80s, and today's world is not the same as passing a joint to a teenage girl that you're dating, that you're out on a date
not
with.
even
It's
like
not
the hard drugs, I guess, are not even made the same from the 80s. No. Like, according to a bunch of the 80s rockers from that time, that like, I've just taken it from like the 80s baby, like the people that grew up that did, you know, at that time when it was like, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like,
right. Yeah. So, Ozzy Osbourne survived a long time on those 80s.
Long time, man.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, there's like really just so much behind like like, I really wanted to trust that Agent Beck, and, you know, he, you know, the thing is I'm trying to get as much as I can to, you know, get the worst possible charges I can. But I have to be honest, like, I'm not really like impressed at this point. Like, we provided a lot of things, and he says he'll look at them, and some he's looked at, but I haven't, every time I've talked to Beck, it's been me chasing him down. Like, he has not one time yet called me to update me about my own case or my own daughter's case. Like, and then when I get to him, I feel like I really don't get a lot of answers, but I get a few things here and there that they're doing, you know, and
they just dangle enough in front of you to keep you like satisfied. Like, maybe she'll stop calling me. Okay.
And he knows I won't.
I'm going to be on it with you. I am on this case with you. Like, London found me just magically out of the blue when I was driving up US 54 through Hooker, Oklahoma. And I got to my hotel room and I Googled it. And I'm like, there was a teenage girl that went missing here and was found like a few days ago. I got to know about this. Like
Mhm.
London found me. I didn't find London. London found me, and I'm on
Yeah.
it with you. And I'm here for all the FOIA requests. And
You know, it's
I
crazy
mean,
that you say that, Joe, because so many people, including us, have just been sitting in a room or you know, not even and just get this epiphany that London is talking to you. Like, since this has happened, like London has came to me in a dream. She's came to Brittany in dreams. She came to me, Brittany, and Liz all sitting in the living room at Liz's house. Just all of a sudden we just all looked at each other and we were like, something's off about this. This is not how this went down. Something else is going on.
Yeah, all at the same time. It was like,
Yeah.
but even like the chief the medical examiner said like she felt a really
Strong connection
with London, and just that she was a sweet girl and stuff. And she is a sweet girl, and I really hate that this is. My biggest fear is that London's going to be portrayed as some bad kid or some, you know what I mean? And she's really just a really sweet girl that was going through some stuff in her heart, and
not on my channel. She won't ever, and I won't ever allow it.
Thank you.
But I also want to find justice for her.
Yeah. Because,
so what is your, go ahead. No,
you go ahead. I can keep talking. I can keep talking forever if you let me. So,
well, I kind of wanted to ask you, what is your favorite memory of you in London?
Oh, the mountains,
man.
Hearing make me cry just thinking about it. Like, man, that was my mountain girl. Like, just really anything, just really anywhere I wanted, anywhere I went, London would go with her mom, riding around the lake. The mountains, just anywhere in nature. Like, I think that's been really hard. Like, we were supposed to go to the mountains for her birthday, and I didn't make it. And Rochelle surprised me, and she said, because I was really worried about going back and being like, can I still love the mountains the way that I love the mountains without her? And Rochelle surprised me and took me to the mountains on the day that me and London were supposed to go, and just really helped me face that. And I went and took pictures at all the places me and London had took pictures, and I showed her all the places we hiked and just everything. And I just got to really relive those memories without London, but it was like London was there, and I'm sorry. Those are my favorite memories. I could go on for about those forever, but definitely the mountains, and then driving around Ponca Lake and listening to music and just having really deep conversations and between mom and daughter, just those things. Like, those are my favorite memories.
I have a different set of favorite memory, and I have to share mine. So.
Yes, please do. Please bring us back from the tears.
When our kids were little, tiny toddlers, and my son was a baby, me and Brittany decided we were gonna boycott Christmas
with our
families, because we were just in a state of mind at that point. We were like, no, we want to do it our way, and we're like 24 years old, and so we decided we were gonna do Christmas together, and we went all out. We cooked the biggest meal. We got the kids up at 5 o'clock in the morning with cinnamon rolls. We had all their Christmas presents under the tree. We even the night before, we even went down the hallway with like these jingle bells and a Santa hat to try to like peek through the girls' door so they would think Santa was in the apartment, right? And so the next morning, London is like opening her presents, and Brittany's like, London, can you believe what Santa brought you? And she looks at Brittany and she said, Santa didn't bring this. Michael Jackson brought this.
London
Michael Jackson Valdez. That's what only thing she would refer to herself as at the age of 3 years old. Like,
London Michael Jackson Valdez. And she had like a glove, and she had a sparkly hat.
Yep.
And
my gosh.
Curl it into the side.
And she watched the This Is It Michael Jackson DVD. We have like 4 copies of it because God forbid we let one of them not work, and she tried to watch it. She'd have a full meltdown.
Yeah, she
3-year-old temper tantrums are not fun, but London, Michael Jackson's temper tantrums.
was- man, they're not.
But man, London, she had every Michael Jackson song memorized at 3. She was obsessed.
Yeah, and everything. Michael Jackson did everything.
Yep.
Everything good.
Everything good. He was going to come back and marry her one day, she said.
Yeah. I told her she'd probably change her mind later in life, but
But yeah, she swore up and down that year that Santa Claus no longer existed and Michael Jackson was the responsible party. For the
That's
Christmas
too
presents.
funny.
So,
yeah.
Thank you both so much for joining me today, and I hope you will consider coming back to keep us updated on the case, and I'm going to keep track of it, and I've got some investigating to do on my own. Like, you guys have given me a whole bunch of stuff to do in the very near
There's
future.
so much. There's even so much more. You could have a whole nother show.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I feel like I don't even
Oh,
know
we
what
will.
to
Oh, we
cover.
will. We will. We'll have a whole
There's
nother
so
show.
much information.
We're not. So we're going to get the full medical examiner's report on the 11th, but maybe we can even have a whole nother show between now and then.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I would love to have you back on, and thank you so much for sharing those precious memories. Like, that's my favorite part of the show. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
the invest-
man.
I hold the
the
tears together until
Until
you
the
made me
memory.
talk about the mountain, man. Like, because that, I'm gonna cry again. But
No, all right,
miss
I'll
them a
let
lot.
you go, and I'll let you go. I'll let you both go, and say thank you so much again for joining me. Please come back, and let's keep London's
sure.
memory alive, like, as long as we can.
Absolutely.
Justice
me too.
for London.
yes, thank you for being respectful of her. I really appreciate that, and me and my family.
Yes, thank you. We'll see you
Thank
later.
you so much.
Bye.
See you soon, my lovely friends. Have a good afternoon. Don't forget to stop back by and see me real soon. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference.